Someone left the cake out in the rain, and it wasn't me. This is a special transmission coming at you of my band Canada Duckfeet, who are playing a show this Saturday night, May 10th, at the Springwater, which was the oldest bar in Tennessee. Sneaky Bandit and Laurel Park are also on the bill. Here we are playing Rumble, the Link Wray classic. It is I, the Poptimist, and today we have Inga Headland from the Landline Show.
Yes, sir.
And you have this fancy coffee mug. Here, show. Yeah. Don't cover it up. There we go. Beautiful. Tell me about your show. You're drinking coffee.
It works. I want to show.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, I have. First of all, thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for doing this.
Longtime fan.
Yes.
So I have a show that's a call-in show. It's just like an old school call-in show.
Like Loveline.
Yep. It's like Loveline. It's like what's that old one? Like Delilah.
Oh yeah. I remember Delilah.
So
John Tesh, he had a call-in show too, right?
Yeah, I mean all the greats have had call-in shows.
Yep.
And so you just call in, and people for some reason needed a reason to call in. So I have prompts every week. Like I give a suggestion. I wouldn't need a reason to call in. I could talk for any reason. So generally, you can call in with a story, with a question, with a hot take, or a complaint. But if you need a prompt, every week we have a sort of theme. And we just talk about everything. Everyone's allowed to say anything that they want. No one's canceled. And it's been really fun. We just did our 15th episode.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize you were that deep into it.
Yeah, we're doing it. It's real goofy.
Are you doing it weekly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And so we do it here.
At NECAT?
Yes.
At Peg Studio?
Yes, for the most part. Sometimes, something like a tornado will happen, so I do it from my bedroom or do you know Switchyards?
I don't.
Switchyards is like a cool kind of like, hey, we want to have a co-work place, but we don't have a lot of money, so you go there. So sometimes I do it there. But for the most part, we do it at public access.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And we met because of this place.
Yes. Yeah.
We were in the production classes.
Yeah.
Last year when I
Yeah.
was gearing up to do the Halloween special. You were the set designer for
Yes,
the Halloween
sir,
special.
I was. You know what? I was remembering that. I don't know if you want to talk about this on your show, but
We could talk about it, whatever it is.
I was remembering. Remember when we had to have like that weird sit down during that class because like two people almost fought?
Yeah. yeah. I very well remember that.
I mean, it's exciting, man. Like stuff happens at public access. Sparks fly.
Well, it's a very interesting place. There's many different personality types that come through here.
Yep.
All across the mental spectrum. We'll just say that.
That's very well put.
But yeah, I mean, it's a really cool place. Eric's awesome. Sam's awesome. Cameron's awesome.
Yeah.
Feel super grateful to be here. You know,
No, it's great. There's no way I could do what I'm doing if this place didn't exist.
Well, it's the same way for me because when I first started the show, like I started this podcast putting my phone on airplane mode and just recording episodes. And that was like the first 60 episodes.
Wait, why on airplane mode?
Because I would go to the voice memos. And if someone calls during a voice memo, it stops the voice memo.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So that's how I would do it. And eventually I had a roommate who was like, dude, I have microphones and a computer.
Yeah.
Let me record you.
Yeah.
And that was Millhouse. He was the first producer really on the show, my buddy Millhouse.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, and he was like, and then COVID happened, and I got a computer and my own computer, my own microphones then. But I really just focused in the beginning on trying to get good at this and being behind a microphone, so to speak, or at least being recorded in the beginning. Because it was something I'd never done before. And I just started. Like people always talk about, well, how do you start something?
Yeah.
How do you just start fucking doing it?
Yeah.
Like that point blank. That's what it is. It's not going to be good at first.
Yeah.
You're not going to know what you're doing. And it's been through trial and error of where I am today and like how our paths cross now.
Yes.
Because we've come through this place. It's an incredible fucking resource.
It really is. And like nobody knows about it.
No. And like, basically, I had gotten stoned on the phone with my buddy Isaac because I kind of hit like a plateau with the podcast.
Yeah.
I'd gotten a good job. I was comfortable. I really wasn't. I got booked the biggest guest that I had that I'd wanted. That was like when I first started the show before I recorded an episode.
Yeah.
Got him. And
who was it?
This guy named Nick Mavshan. He was the bass player for Amy Winehouse.
Okay.
He played with Amy Winehouse, Bruno Mars, like long list of people.
Yeah.
But he was like really like a behind the scenes guy, and there was no long form interviews with him at that point.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I had asked him to do it, and just was like, "Hey, I'm a really big fan." So once I did that episode, I didn't know what the fuck else to do. I was like, the original goal that I set out to do, I accomplished.
Right.
And it wasn't until I was comfortable, it was August, I was like, I kind of miss doing the podcast, but I don't want to do it the way I was doing it.
This is last August.
Last August. So I was getting stoned one night, talking to my friend Isaac. Isaac, that did the Halloween special with us.
That dude.
Yeah.
He's a trip.
He's one of a kind.
Yeah.
And he was just very encouraging. I was like, I want to do a public access Halloween special.
Yes.
And he was like, fuck yeah, you should do it. And
Yep.
I just started coming up with all of these ideas. I talked to my buddy Zach, who's an amazing writer. He wrote all the script with me.
Oh, nice.
Like all the
Did
monologues.
he come in that day?
No, he's down in Florida.
Okay.
So I had just been talking to him constantly about it.
Yeah.
And like, it would be funny if we talked about O.J. Simpson. It would be funny if we talked about P. Diddy. Just shit like that. That makes us laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an incredible process. And of course, meeting you and your experience with set design.
Yeah.
And I talked to my sister, and I sent her like $250 to get. I was like, pick out all the Halloween decorations.
She nailed it.
She nailed it.
Yeah.
So it felt like I was finally coming into my own a little bit. Like
that was a great day.
It was amazing. I look back on it,
as such an incredible experience. And that particular day, like, so after we got done, I went with Isaac and we went over to Dalt's. Have you been to Dalt's over here?
It's great.
Amazing place.
Yeah.
Amazing diner. And I knew, like, the Yankees were playing that night. They had to win one more game to clinch the World Series. I was at home, like, chilling at my house, watching the baseball game. My buddy Josh Norfleet calls me, who was a guest on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
But he calls me, and he's like, dude, my band broke up.
No.
And like, I had known Josh the entire time, pretty much, I've been in Nashville. And so he called me to tell me that. He's like, my band, The Reveal, is done. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I played with Josh in his solo band, and I played with him, like, down on Broadway with his band and all that shit. So it was like, film the Halloween special. The Yankees clinched going to the World Series that night, and then The Reveal broke up. So it was like a day that will live in Nashville infamy for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I have so much love for this place.
Yeah,
for
it's great.
Peg Studio and the whole Kneecat team. It's incredible.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Like, even out in the TV studio, you know, like we're filming bands out there now. So, like, when Josh came on, we did an episode. I played upright bass, which is something I haven't done a lot of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was new. So I feel like I'm doing all of this new stuff and really just, like, pushing myself.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
that's
trying
really
to
cool.
grow. But I fucking love being able to do this.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. It's really fun.
I love it again. Do you have a background in broadcasting or anything like that at all? Have you ever done anything like this before?
Not at all. So I have a background in many irrelevant things. I would say in terms of entertainment, I have a background in, like, development. So, like, I help people develop concepts for film and television. I was Dorothy in my 6th grade play. And that about sums it up. So I've been around, like, in all seriousness, like, my family's a big performing family. So I've been around the industry my whole life.
Yeah.
But I was, like, hardcore not going to do it. Like,
as an act of rebellion?
Yeah. And because I was like, this is so stupid. Like, I wanted to do something that had value and meaning. So I was going to be a surgeon for a while. And then another time I was going to be a lawyer. I wasn't great with direction, but I had a lot of passion. So I have a lot of school that I don't use. And at one point, I was in a pre-medical, like, accelerated program. I had a graduate degree I wasn't using. And my older sister, who is a director and writer, she needed something called a pitch deck for some movie that she was trying to book. And she was talking about how she couldn't get anyone to help her do it properly. And I had majored in graphic design and photography in undergrad. So I was like, oh, well, it sounds like something I can just do for you. So that was about 10 years ago. And I started just doing this on the side as I did, I pursued, every career in the world. Like, I was a stand-up comedian for a while. I was a drunk for a while. I was a trophy wife for a while. That was pretty awesome. And then eventually it turned out that building pitch decks was like a real career. And it kind of turned into helping people present their own ideas for getting their projects made. But it also would become sort of world building. So, like, if I was hired to help pitch, say, a project that's like a sci-fi film, it would be, okay, help me develop this planet, help me develop this alien race, help me develop, and so it'd start building out from there. And so it ended up being really creative and fun and exciting. And so
this is like pre-production almost.
Yes. Yep. It's like pre-production design.
Okay.
Instead of like production design. It's like the stuff that kind of goes in. And it's interesting because not a lot of people do this. Like, it started happening, there started to be more of a demand for it during COVID, actually, because people were sort of isolated, and individuals funding stuff in studios wanted to start seeing things come to fruition, but you couldn't get together and actually make the stuff yet. And so they needed to have, someone able to sort of manifest these visual concepts out of found imagery, now I use a lot of AI, like things that are like, how do you communicate the vibe of this in something other than words? Because it's going to be a visual medium, So I've had a lot of practice with that. Actually plays a lot into how Landline started, because it was a lot of talking to people and getting them to say what they mean. It's a lot of talking to really creative people and trying to get them to isolate what their idea actually is, what they're trying to communicate on screen in a script, and then being able to translate that visually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, some of the biggest challenges are with that in the communication? Like, how do you find that you're able to communicate with these creative types?
So there's definitely a lot of ego. Everyone thinks their script's the best in the world. And
naturally.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest challenges actually with pitch decks is people think they're trying to tell the story of their script when what you're trying to do is sell your script. And those are two very different things.
How so?
So no one likes to read, right? Like,
no.
Sorry. So what you're doing, you don't want to give basically a executive more work to do. So when you give them a pitch deck is something to get them to want to read a script. So it has to essentially be like the way if you see a trailer for a movie, you shouldn't feel like you've already seen the movie. Otherwise, you won't go see the movie. You should feel like, oh my gosh, this makes me want to go see the movie. So a pitch deck should give just enough of the key hook points so that you want to read the script to understand what this project has to offer. And part of that is story hooks, but a lot of that is I'm going to give you a visual sort of foothold, because the script obviously doesn't have images. So this gives you a visual foothold so that you have some idea of how this world looks and feels, and then you can carry that with you as you read the script.
So are you like specialized in doing like sci-fi and fantasy, or is it?
I actually do a lot of what have I been doing late? I have done sci-fi and fantasy. What did I just? I wanted to say like dramedy. Like I do a lot of television actually.
So how does that work if it's something that's like a dramedy and it's like based in everyday
New York?
Yeah, normal life reality.
Yeah. So that actually is what the kind of stuff I love, because that's where I'm settling in because I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where a lot of times if you're describing it to someone, you're like, it's New York. And then you just move on. Right. And as a listener, I'm like, okay, I have no framework in my head to picture the world that you're describing. Maybe I have my version of New York. I have a New York postcard. I don't know, maybe I hate New York, like I have New York from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Like there are all these different things. So what a pitch deck does is it does the work of, when I say New York, I mean this.
Okay, follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of based off of what you're saying. So I'm thinking of two vividly New York movies.
Yeah.
One, Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
The other, and this is such a random fucking example. It's probably been forever since you've heard of this movie. It Can Happen to You. Do you remember that movie with Nicolas Cage?
Yes.
Great movie.
Yes.
But those are two very different New Yorks.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
So you're kind of helping with that part of the vision.
Yes. And like, I hope I don't get this wrong. I believe Royal Tenenbaums is filmed in New York.
Yeah.
But you would never know it because the whole point is it's like a nondescript metropolitan city that feels but it's not LA. It's like it's very distinct. So that
like an East Coast city. Yes, totally.
Right. And so it's one of those things where like, but if you were to say, okay, so this one takes place in New York, no way would you picture the world of Royal Tenenbaums or how is it possible that that's the same place as It Could Happen to You? I love that you brought up that movie. Wait, do you like get? Does it make like your heart sing, that movie?
I think it's I am in general just a fucking movie nerd.
I know. So am I.
And also gigantic Nicolas Cage fan.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I love Nicolas Cage.
We need to detour. I can't stand him.
Really?
I just watched. I'm gonna call it the wrong thing. Moonstruck. Moonstruck.
With him and Cher?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
never seen that before. What is wrong with him? He's so melodramatic.
But you see, this is the thing. You're either into that or you're not.
Oh my God.
I am very into it. Like, have you ever seen the movie he did with Pedro Pascal that came out a couple of years ago?
I doubt it.
It's called the I can't remember what it's called.
Well, obviously it made an impression.
Yeah, but it's Nicolas Cage playing himself.
Oh my God.
But he's playing. He goes and he meets this like drug lord who's like a gigantic fan of him and has like a tribute. But it's a comedy movie, obviously, but it's so fucking funny.
No, I just watched Face Off. Never saw that before.
Yeah,
Oh
with John
my
Travolta.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm sorry, I keep hitting the table. That's so much.
Yeah.
Like that is so much.
Well, you have to, again, you either have to be along for the ride or you can't. My favorite Nicolas Cage movie is Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. He plays a detective, a cop that during Hurricane Katrina got injured and he becomes like drug addicted and he's a dirty cop.
Oh,
and there's just these moments in the movie where he's spinning out of fucking control with drug addiction. And they're doing a stakeout and they're across the street like watching these people. And all of a sudden, it just cuts to an iguana on the table, and he's Nicolas Cage freaking the fuck out, being like, "Why is there an iguana on the table?"
Oh my God.
But I like him because he is weird as shit.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. I mean, yeah, you're right. If that's your vibe,
That's my
he's
vibe.
your dude.
I mean, you were part of the Halloween special. It's 1,000% my vibe.
All right, cool. All
Yeah.
right. So, yeah, I'm not sure I've ever seen It Could Happen to You all the way through.
It's a great movie. It's so like heartwarming. It's
I love that you like that movie.
It's a great. Okay, so I can be really jaded about human nature and about love and all of that shit. But that's like a movie where it's like everything just works out, you know?
I was going to say, it's not your brand, really.
No, it's not, but it's Nicolas Cage, so that is my brand. But I do like that movie's almost like a movie from like the 1930s or something.
Okay, yeah.
With
Yep.
how the story goes, where
It's like a Jimmy Stewart kind of vibe.
yeah. So and for people who don't know what the movie's about, basically Nicolas Cage, he plays a cop who's not drug addicted in this movie. He's like a normal blue collar New York all American beat cop, and he goes into this diner where I think it's
Bridget Fonda.
Bridget Fonda is a waitress, and he doesn't have money for a tip, and he's like, "Hey, I'll share. Like, I have a lottery ticket. If I win the lottery, we'll share the money."
Yep.
And he ends up fucking winning. So they split the money, and then they end up falling in love, and it's a beautiful story. But he's dating Rosie Perez in the movie, and she's mean as fuck to him all the time.
Awesome.
But yeah.
I used to date someone who had the hots for her. I'm trying to remember. Was that someone? Did you ever have the hots for her? Was she
For
like,
Rosie Perez, she's a little bit beyond my generation.
And I'm trying to think because I remember being like, "Really? Is that someone people are into?" Question for you. So first time I met you, you were like, "I'm a bachelor. I've always been a bachelor."
Yeah.
Now I'm curious with knowing that you like this movie. I need to know a little bit about your dating life.
Yeah, I mean we can talk about it. What do you want to know?
Okay. I'll ask a better question, more directed. Have you ever had a long-term girlfriend?
No.
What?
So the
How old are
longest
you?
I'm 33.
Okay.
The longest term relationship I've ever had, I've had a couple of 3-month relationships.
Are you answering honestly right now?
I'm answering 100%
Okay,
honestly.
okay.
I'm not playing the character of the
Yeah,
optimist
okay,
right now,
cool,
but maybe
cool,
I am. Who knows? Yeah. Well, I definitely have always wanted to really do my own thing.
Yeah, that's clear.
And I have always wanted to be on my path, and I felt like I don't like distractions much.
Yeah, bitches be distracting.
Bitches be distracting. Well, but you know what? Here's what I'll also say. It's not an accident. You know, like I've very deliberately chosen this life.
Yeah.
I just don't ever foresee myself getting married. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Wait, when you say this life, what do you mean this life?
My life.
I mean, like being like a performer, being a creator, being like.
Yeah. So I found that it's not always cohesive for a relationship.
Okay.
Plus, the other thing is, I've never really dated another creative type before.
Interesting.
I've always dated someone who's a little bit more grounded, and in reality, my voice just cracked.
I love it.
But
You're nervous.
yeah, you know, I've had some great girlfriends over time, but
For 3 months?
For 3 months. But here's the other thing I'll say. So, like, and this is probably revealing a lot about me as a person, but I'll impulsively like break up with a girl after 3 months,
You slut.
and then 6 months later regret it and be
course
like,
you will!
it was a fucking mistake.
Wait, when you regret it, do you do anything? Like, do you like get weird and call them?
Sometimes I have in the past.
God.
I have in the past. I would say that, well, especially being in Nashville.
Yeah.
And being a dude that lived here throughout his entire 20s and was a musician.
Yeah.
Like, it was never difficult to find company. I don't mean to make that sound fucking horrible, but the other thing about dating in Nashville, it's a very transitory place.
Yeah, I could do that.
So it's also hard to line something up, but like I'm at a point in my life where I'm not just interested in purely getting laid anymore. Like I want to have
very mature of you.
a connection. It took me a long time to get to that point where I want to actually spend time with someone, but I'm also selfish as fuck, and I know that about myself. Like, that's the other reason why I've never tried to pursue something long term, because I know I'm always going to pick whatever it is that I'm doing first.
Yes. Yeah.
And everything else is secondary.
Yeah.
And it's not dating is not the only aspect of my life that maybe suffers because of that.
Yeah. What else does?
I think I am in general, unless I'm working on my shit, I'm very bad at being present because my mind is always on the bullshit that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Where I'm wanting to, like, even...
Like right now, are you thinking about something else?
No, I'm
okay.
in the moment right now because this
cool.
is where I am. This is what I'm doing. When I am in other moments of my life, I am thinking about doing this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is your passion.
Yeah, it's 100% my passion. The same thing with music as well, where I'm like, I would feel this feeling late at night in bed whenever I'd be dating someone where I'm like, I should be doing something right now. I shouldn't just be sitting still.
Like when you're like lying in bed with them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where I'm like, I need to be working on something.
Yeah.
But again, that's probably, it's something within me. But I've also learned...
It's like existential bed bugs.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to call this episode. I there's a lot of reasons why, and it definitely goes back to my childhood for sure.
Oh, obviously.
I have a horrible relationship with my mother.
I mean, it's got to be mom's fault.
Yeah.
100%.
It is. Well, yes, but it's also, I have to take responsibility.
You seem like you were a real asshole as a kid.
My mom would say so. But yeah, it's...
Wait, who were the two girls?
That
You don't need to say their names, but like, what was the story with those?
So one, I was 22.
Okay.
And I was living in Maine still, and it was someone that I went to high school with.
Did you like them in high school?
I always thought she was cute in high school.
Yeah.
We always got along really well.
So you haven't been like pining after her this whole time?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Were you both just lonely?
No. It was a summer romance,
Oh, okay.
Grease style.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So we had really hit it off. We were kind of polar opposites in a lot of ways, but Yeah, so that was one. And then here in Nashville, I had matched with a girl that was on Hinge. I'm not on dating apps anymore. I'm off them. They're really bad for me. They're horrible for me.
I've never done them, thank God.
Yeah, they're bad news. For me, I'm only going to speak from my experience.
Everyone should get off them.
This was it was good, but I also, with the girl here in Nashville, her long-term plan was to move back to where she was from, and it was a godforsaken state that I would never live in. And it was like to start having kids. I'm not necessarily opposed to having kids. I think if it just happened, I would roll with it, but I'm never going to actively choose that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
like if you knock someone up, that's preferable to choosing to have a kid.
It is, honestly. I better not get rich because bitches are going to listen to this podcast and just be like, I'll just have them knock me up.
Yeah, pull the goalie.
Yeah. But yeah, I like my life so much.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I feel like you should lead with that as opposed to like, you're selfish. It's like, I'm just really content.
Here's the other thing, though. Women have a way of decoding that. So I can say I'm very content with my life, and that will translate into, oh, he's really selfish.
Well, they're not wrong.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, I feel like with dating, I am myself right away, maybe to a degree, which is not good. Like, I don't try and hide anything. I'm pretty open. I'm not like trauma dumping first date, talking about my life, my childhood. But I understand the way that I am perceived now by people. Like, I do have a little bit of a serial killer vibe. So,
I mean, you like Nicolas Cage.
And I love Nicolas Cage. I don't want, see, okay, this is the other thing. It's so easy for someone from the outside looking in to make those perceptions of me.
Because they're right.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. But, yeah, I've always been a big fan of wanting to do my own thing.
No, I love this. I think that's great. And you definitely should date someone who's creative. Like, I feel like that would be a very different experience for you.
Probably so, because I think a lot of the women that I've dated in the past that have been with me, they like that I'm like this free form, like do my own thing, because they've often been a little bit more on the organized.
Could see that.
So it kind of balanced out in some ways, in other ways not at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, yeah, so it's 2:30 in the morning. I'm going to go back to my house now.
Yeah, I could see how, like, in terms of lifestyle, having the opposites in a way, you have like a nice kind of like yin and yang thing.
It doesn't work long term, though.
Right, exactly.
I know that now. Right. I mean, that's been through lived experience. Plus, the other thing is, I've never wanted to really date another musician before or attempted to do that.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, so
you should date like a painter or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be open to it. But yeah, I'm also, like I said, I have serial killer vibes. So it's like once you start talking to me, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But at first, like I'm just standing there and I'm like stone-faced, assessing the situation.
When I first met you, you actually seemed very boy next door and nice. It was after I knew you for a few hours, then you had serial killer vibe. Then after a few more hours, then I was like, oh, you're nice again.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of are like a mood ring.
Yeah, I probably have some kind of undiagnosed mood disorder, and I need to be medicated. That's the other part of it. I have some kind of undiagnosed mental illness, and I've just been raw dogging it my whole life.
And you're the only person I've kept in touch with from that class. So, like,
same.
You know, I mean, also maybe that just says something about me. I'm also unhinged.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, it's like I feel like, for better or worse, I wear my unhingedness on my sleeve, because I remember when we did the thing out there when we were doing like the little, where we were each filming and we had to be the host, and it was the 3-minute segments. So that was probably the point where people were like, oh, fuck, what's wrong with this guy?
Oh, my God, you were and I remember thinking, I'm going to be his friend.
Yeah.
Because you were so weird and no one laughed, and I was laughing so hard in the sound booth.
I knew. I was like, okay, let me see if I can suck all of the energy out of this room right now. And I succeeded. No one wanted to look me in the eye after that. Because basically we filmed like these 3-minute little talk shows. And I used that as a way to advertise for the Halloween special.
Yeah.
And I talked about being a fucking weird serial killer.
No, what was amazing, you were supposed to interview 2 people. You didn't ask them a single question. You talked the whole time.
I did a monologue about killing the mouse.
About killing a mouse and
Yeah.
it dying slowly in front of you. And
Yeah.
calling your father and crying.
Yeah.
It was so detailed and sad. And like had the weirdest pacing. And you were like, also the Poptimus is going to be on Halloween special. And then it just ended.
Yeah.
And the 2 people who were your quote guests were mortified.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard in the sound booth. I like couldn't breathe.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. Well, it's like people are either going to be into what I do or they're not.
You're
And
like Nicolas Cage.
kind of, yeah. Like I could see that comparison. And you know what? It's the same way with dating. It's like women either really like me or they really fucking don't. And you don't really know until you can get a full view of me, you
Yeah.
know?
Are you good in bed?
I don't know. I mean,
How do you not know? You have to get feedback.
I would like to think so.
Okay. I mean, like, do people give you thumbs up or thumbs down
If they've given, well,
to your face?
I've definitely gotten some thumbs up, but there's also been some performances that I'm not proud of. There's
is awesome.
definitely, okay. There was this one girl that I hooked up with last year, and it was honestly the worst performance that I've ever given in my life.
Do you want to say sorry to her right now?
I apologized after it was done. So we get done, and I'm like, I just want to be honest with you and say that was the worst
my best.
performance I've ever. And I was laughing.
Wait, why was it so bad? Were you drunk or something?
No, I was stone cold sober.
What was wrong?
It did not last very long. It was over.
Oh, you were overexcited.
Yeah,
As
it was.
opposed to,
It was.
underperforming.
Yeah. It was over in probably a minute and a half.
Wait, was she like super hot and out of your league, or like, were you just
I'd like to think that no woman is out of my league.
had you just not gotten laid in a while and you were just like,
Yeah, so it's like there's periods where I go through time where I'm not really trying to pursue anything.
Sure.
And I'm just focused on my life, whatever.
It sounds like all the time, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's true. But there are times I'm way more intense about it, though.
Okay.
But this particular time, I had not really been trying anything at all. And she had shown some interest, and I was like, great. And we hung out, and then we hooked up, and it was bad. I just apologized to her after. I was like, I'm really sorry for that. I did not give a good performance.
Did you try again, or was that it?
That was it. She was done with me at that point. Like, you know, I would like to say that normally I'm pretty generous on that front and try and make things work, but I was like, this was just really bad.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I
So
texted
that was not
her.
a great experience. Oh wait, what?
I texted her after, and I was just, and like in the moment, I was like, that was really bad, and I was laughing about it. I thought it was personally funny, but she was not amused by it. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go.
Oh my God.
So I left, and yeah, it was.
And then you texted her.
I texted her and was like, hey, yeah, I had a good time hanging out. I'm sorry for that. That was really bad. And she was like, oh, no, it's okay. And then I texted her the next day, and she left me on red. So I was like, I'm just going to let this one go. I'm going to count it as an L.
Right. Awesome. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, what else do you want to talk about?
Oh, geez. I mean, what about for you and your dating and relationships? You said you were married at one point.
Yep.
You're engaged now.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about your
My
life.
life is
Inga.
like not very interesting with that. I got married when I was 23,
Oh, shit.
right? I was married for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
I know. No, it was really fun being married until it wasn't. And then we had like the world's saddest divorce. And then now I'm not sure what is going on with him. Hopefully he's happy. It was amicable. And now I am engaged to a former Marine.
He's a handsome fella.
Right? He is handsome.
He's a tall drink of water. I met him briefly one day when I was in here, and
Yeah.
he was in there like helping you.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually thought it wasn't going to work out because I thought he was too handsome. Like,
Really?
It's distracting. Like, he really he's very fit,
Yeah.
which is not something.
Strapping.
Yeah. It's just not something I'm usually into.
You really?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like there's a lot of hard edges. But he's very different for me in terms of like usually like he's very solid, you know? Like he's a very solid, good man. And I honestly, when I got divorced, I was like, I'm never getting married again. Like, that's it. Like, I married my best friend. We destroyed each other's lives. It was so incredibly sad. And I mean, I think I've told you about this. Like, I'm a recovering addict. So, like, I just destroyed my ex-husband's life with all of that. And so it being like, okay, I can barely shower every day. There's no way I'm going to be able to be in a relationship. But then somehow I met this dude, this tall drink of water. And yeah, he said like right away he wanted to marry me. And I was like, okay. And I just kind of assumed he was joking because, okay, this is going to sound weird. When I was in the depths of like using, I would date a lot of ding-dongs. And I got proposed to a lot.
Really?
Yeah. So it was just sort of something people said where you're like, yeah, okay. So when he first said it, I was like, and like didn't really respond, which it turns out kind of hurt his feelings because he was like,
he's like emotionally developed,
right,
mature.
Right. He was
yeah.
like, I'm actually asking you. And
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, I remember I got proposed to once in a bar where a guy like put a paperclip on my finger and I was like, this is stupid. Like people just propose all the time. But then it turns out there's a big difference between a stand-up dude and like.
When you're fucking plastered.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, so that's but we are a big like movie couple. So every night, so this is interesting. So I'm a big TV person. He hates television.
Really?
He loves movies,
Okay.
but he like just doesn't like the genre or format of television. I mean, he's a different kind of dude, man. So like where he's like, he just finds it like unlikable that something can just be bingeable. Where he's like, there should be a beginning, and a middle, and an end.
Well, what about The Sopranos? Does he like The Sopranos?
I don't think he's ever seen it.
Damn.
I know. Like
Sopranos is fucking good, dude.
I've actually never seen it either.
Sopranos is amazing.
Okay, I do need to see that.
Everything that has come out after it, like, and I didn't see Sopranos until like 5 or 6 years ago, but I was like, oh, Breaking Bad exists because of the Sopranos.
Yes, I have heard there's so much derivative
Lost
from it.
exists because they're like, name any big TV show from the past 20 years that's like a drama. It exists because of the Sopranos.
That's cool. Yeah, I do need to watch that. See, now I'm gonna have to watch it in the closet though because he doesn't like TV. So what the plus side is that since we started dating, we watch a movie almost every night because we're very boring. But there's so much I'd never seen before. So that's why I started seeing all of like Nick Cage's Ovure and seeing like Face Off.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is where I'm like, well, I never saw that. So now I've seen like so much. Last night we watched Runaway Jury with John Cusack and I can't believe I'm forgetting.
It's from like
Gene
2001,
Hackman.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, not strong. Dustin Hoffman's in it and plays maybe the most boring lawyer in history, where I feel like he had to have had a killer scene that got cut or something because you're like, why did you sign on to do this? Anyway, I've seen a lot of insane movies now that are very mediocre, but I'm a more well-rounded person.
I love watching like throwaway movies like that, because even when you watch back on it now, the quality of movies, it's just different back then. Like, it got a theatrical release. There was a budget behind it. I watched Red Dragon with Edward Norton.
Oh, never seen that.
So it's a prequel to Silence of the Lambs.
What?
Yeah. So it came out in probably like 2002 or something, and it's based off of the book Red Dragon. But Hannibal Lecter is like Edward Norton's character is the one who catches Hannibal Lecter and puts him in jail.
Oh.
So that's like the opening of the movie, and then he's getting help from Hannibal Lecter to try and catch this killer because they were friends prior to that.
And is it good?
I liked
sounds
it.
kinda
Yeah,
good.
I would give it overall like a B+.
Maybe I'll watch that tonight.
Yeah, it's a good movie. And fucking Ralph Fiennes plays this serial killer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He used to be good. I shouldn't say used to be good, but Ed Norton used to be good. I feel like he's gotten kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know what movies he makes now.
Well, now he promotes a replacement for PowerPoints.
Really?
Yeah. I saw that on my Instagram. It was like, are you sick of PowerPoints? Try Zach instead. And Ed Norton's like the spokesperson. And I was like,
shit.
what's happening, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, he dated Selma Hayek, and now he's doing that.
Oh, fuck.
I
Selma
know.
Hayek's hot as fuck.
Yes, she is.
From Dusk Till Dawn. Have you
Yeah.
seen that?
No.
Incredible. That's the movie you should watch
Okay.
tonight.
I'm afraid it's going to scare me. Isn't it like kind of...
It's not scary.
Okay.
It's campy. It's like
okay.
over the top.
Okay.
Like it's horror, but it's like the first half of the movie is a crime film.
Okay.
It's George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino wrote the script, but and Robert Rodriguez directs it. But
Oh, that's right.
the first half of the movie is a crime film, really about them. The second half of the movie is them going to this bar that's a vampire bar, and Salma Hayek is like a hot stripper, fucking, but she's a vampire too.
Nice, nice.
Strongly recommend.
Because I like Rodriguez. For Quentin Tarantino is always a little too much for me.
I love Quentin
Yeah,
Tarantino.
so does my dude. I mean, it's funny. He also likes Nick Cage. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm not
Yeah.
against people who give off a serial killer vibe. Like my fiance is sort of like that. But like, there's something where it's like I don't know, like Quentin Tarantino, it's like his movies always go like a little too far for me where I'm like, oh, like it gets a little too like, I'm
That's
gonna
what I
throw
like
up.
about them. It's guttural, visceral.
Yes. I'm a wuss, man. I'm a wuss.
So I am too, but his movies are like, I see them more as cartoonish, like in the violence.
Yeah, like Pulp.
Yeah. Do you know who S. Craig Zoller is?
No.
He's an incredible fucking director. You would probably hate this movie. Seth would probably like this movie. It's called Bone Tomahawk.
Huh.
And it's a horror western about a Native American cannibal tribe that kidnaps Patrick Wilson's wife. He's a doctor in it, and Kurt Russell's like a sheriff. And
He loves Kurt Russell.
Yeah, okay. Kurt Russell's amazing in it. But they get together like a posse to go out and retrieve her. And it's like this whole fucking odyssey that
What's
they
it
go
called?
on. Bone Tomahawk.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to ask him.
It's incredible. So, the violence, you want to talk about violence? That movie, it's not very often that I'm like, oh, I have to look away.
Oh!
That movie has a scene in it towards the end that I have to look away at. Like, it is
Ew!
a visceral,
Don't describe it. Don't describe it.
visceral violence. It was like not good. Great fucking movie. Though.
When did it come out?
Probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer than that.
So
No.
relatively recent, like within the last 10 years.
Yeah. And S. Craig, I would say, he did a couple other movies too. He did a movie called Brawl in Cell Block 99 with Vince Vaughn. That was really good. Where Vince Vaughn, it's a dramatic role.
Oh.
So he plays a guy where his, I don't want to get, well, basically the plot is he has to go to jail and he's trying to get revenge on someone. And then he did another movie called Dragged Across Concrete with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn, and they play cops, and it's a slow burn of a movie. Like, I love slow burns.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's another good one. That's probably my favorite out of the three of his movies. And he also wrote a Puppet Master sequel that was really good too. Puppet Master was the #1 movie when I was a kid that scared me. I was terrified
I've never even heard of that.
So it's about a Nazi who makes these dolls that kill people.
Jeez.
These puppets that kill people. Over the top, super graphic violence.
Oh my God.
Came out originally in the 80s, but that was the one thing that I would dive under a chair when I was a kid. I was like, turn that off. I don't want to see it.
Oh my God. Wait, do you have siblings?
Yeah, 2 sisters.
Like, who would put that on?
Well, when there's no adults ever around.
Were you guys like latchkey kids?
Kind of, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, so my mom... So, do you want to know my life story?
Sure,
I can fill you in.
Break it down.
Okay, so my mom is severely mentally ill.
Okay, with what?
Borderline personality disorder.
Okay.
And probably also bipolar. Self-medicates a lot with like prescription pain pills.
Oh, yep.
My biological father was a cop and a drug addict that
Yeesh.
abandoned my family when I was 5.
Wow, okay.
My mom got remarried to another guy who beat her every single night straight for a year.
Jesus.
And then my mom eventually remarried the guy that I would consider my dad today that I have a relationship with. He lives in Nashville. He's the only father I've really ever known.
Okay.
Positive, healthy influence. And he adopted me, all of that good stuff. So he lives here in Nashville. But yeah, so I come from like a very crazy, like white trash, traumatic, drug addict, mental illness background.
Are your sisters from the same 2 parents?
No. So, my oldest sister, she is different dad.
Okay.
And then my sister, technically my stepsister, but it feels disrespectful to call her my stepsister, to call my dad my stepdad. I don't like it, you know, but she's my age. So it's my dad's biological daughter.
Okay.
That he had with another woman when he was still in the Navy.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was me and my oldest sister, you know, because my mom got remarried to my dad when I was 7. Or married to, not remarried.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, married to my dad when I was 7. He always took care of me and like encouraged me to do music, encouraged me to be me.
Cool. Yeah.
So I was very lucky to have, because honestly, I should have 100% been a statistic.
Yeah.
Like I got fucking lucky as shit, dude.
What happened? Did you ever talk to your biological dad?
Not since I was a kid.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the last time I saw him when I was like 5 or 6, you
Wow.
know? And so he has nothing to do with my life. I don't know what he's up to today.
What happened to the dirtbag boyfriend in between?
I have no idea.
Fuck that dude.
Yeah, fuck him. Like, hopefully something horrible happened to him.
Yeah.
But it was really bad. You know, that was years 0 through 6 of my life.
Eesh.
Yeah.
And you were here in Nashville?
No.
No.
So I was born in Florida. South Florida. I was born in Boynton. When my mom got married to my dad, he was in the Navy. Mm-hmm. So eventually I was probably like 11 and we moved up to Maine. So I spent like half my childhood in Florida and half, I would say, in Maine.
Okay.
You know, I really consider Maine where I'm from.
That's right. I remember you telling me that.
But like realizing through the years, I was disassociating with the horrible shit that happened in my childhood in Florida.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, Florida is not part of my identity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I still feel like that to a certain degree, but I also have accepted, like, it makes sense that I was born in fucking Florida.
Right. So, but it's definitely a tableau.
Yeah.
Like, if I were to write this script, it'd be like, and it's taking place in Florida.
Yeah.
Southern Florida.
Yeah, well, it's like, here's the other thing. So we were talking about dating earlier. I was a fucking mess in my 20s. Probably until about 25 when I finally started taking ownership and realizing like, oh yeah, like for the first time I realized everything was fucked up. Like I was able to verbalize and be like, I've had a very traumatic childhood. Because my mom, she'd be like, you've had such a great life. how dare you suggest otherwise?
Yeah.
Because she felt like it was a reflection of her, and it was. She was a horrible fucking mother. But now, I mean, she's completely out of my life.
Really?
Yeah, cut her out. Probably fucking, I would say, I was 25, so it's been 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Why'd you cut her out?
So you want to go real deep into it?
Let's do it, man.
I realized that I had a lot of patterns that weren't normal as far as dating and relationships go and sex goes. So I went into recovery for that and like went into an intensive program. The first thing my counselor said to me, he said, like he asked me about my childhood and I just started talking and he's like, you got to cut your mom out of your life.
Oh, okay.
He's like, your mother is a true, actual narcissist. He's like, it's an overused term, but she is a textbook narcissist.
Okay.
On top of having borderline personality disorder and also being bipolar.
Yeah.
And she's untreated for everything.
Yeah.
So I was just getting into a lot of chaotic relationships with women. And I was just very venomous and hard to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, and in some ways I still am, but now I think the opposite has happened where I have a tendency to overcorrect, so I just choose to be alone. That's probably really what it is.
No, this is I'm sorry because I don't know this program that well, so I don't know like what the anonymity rules are, but like I have friends who have had a really successful time with slaw.
Yeah, SLAA,
Yeah.
slaw, yeah.
And some of them struggle with exactly like what you were just saying, where it's either like overindulgence or what they call anorexia.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, look, I'm just not going to date at all. But
Yeah.
like, it's hard because when you're trying to learn new tools of how to properly engage with another person, and when the model you have from growing up is one that's very toxic,
Super toxic.
it's like, well, I don't know. I feel like if I have to choose between being toxic or completely by myself,
Isolating.
Yeah.
Well, the trouble that I think it was what I really had for a lot of it too is once the other foot kind of dropped, and again, I have the tendency to overcorrect, where I would isolate, then I would want to be around someone, and I would want attention, and I would want touch. Really, the thing that was the wake-up call for me where I went off the fucking rails is I started dating a woman that was an escort.
Okay.
And she was a very nice girl. She had a very checkered and troubled past.
Yeah.
But I started dating an escort, and it was so fucked up and emotionally chaotic.
Yeah. How old were
And
you?
25.
Okay, that's when it was. All right.
Yeah. So it was like right in that time period. And that's the moment where I was like, oh, fuck, it's me. Like, I'm the problem.
Yeah.
And it's who I'm choosing as the problem. And I was deeply, surprise, I have a lot of fucking shame.
Of course.
that made me act out and really just like, I was going on Tinder all the time. Tinder and just hooking up with girls, and it was being in Nashville was so easy, and it was so bad for me, just awful for my spirit. But I didn't correlate. That's why I was always fucking miserable.
Of course, yeah.
So it all came to a white hot head basically when this girl who was an escort, I was seeing her. And I was like, oh, fuck. And just like saying those words out loud is even kind of crazy now. Where I'm like, damn. And I had also gotten to some kind of disagreement or argument with my mom at the same time period. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just had completely bottomed out. And I was like, I am so fucking miserable. And there's a lot of other stuff going on. Like, simultaneously, I was also working a job that was very toxic, that was super matriarchal. toxic.
Interesting.
I was working at this this property management company, and it was all women who were the managers. And basically, what had happened was there was a assistant manager that I really hated. We didn't get along at all. We were constantly fighting, and the maintenance guys, it was like a 400 unit apartment, and like 200 of the ACs were down, and no one knew why.
Whoa.
So I started asking questions because it started fucking with my money because I was a leasing consultant.
Okay.
I was like, this is fucking me up because people were coming in and complaining about the fact that their AC was out, and they were telling people that I was giving tours to not to move in.
Yeah.
So I raised my hand. I went to the head property manager, and I was like, we need to do something about this.
Yeah.
I tried going to the maintenance guys and talking to them first. And they were like, it's no big deal. We'll figure it out. But no one was answering why this was happening. I went, and eventually she brought it to like the big boss.
Yeah.
Who was over the entire Nashville, like all 5 properties. And what she started interviewing the maintenance guys one by one. And what had happened was one of them went in and confessed everything that was going on, which was they were having gangbangs in the apartment with this assistant property manager during work hours.
Oh, my God.
And they were like smoking blunts. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck, live and let live. But my whole thing was, this is like they only fired her. They didn't fire any of the maintenance dudes. So I went on a warpath. Mm-hmm. And I really hated this assistant property manager. I thought she was fucking awful as a human being. But I also thought it was morally wrong for the company to only fire the woman when there was multiple consenting adults during this. And they had really put a target on my back. It put a bullseye on me. They had tried to fire me so many times. I had fought them tooth and nail. Because they would try and sit me down to write me up to start pleading their case. And I would be like, so there was gangbangs fucking happening in those apartments.
Damn.
And you only fired the woman, and you're going to try and write me up because you're saying my desk isn't clean.
Oh, my God.
And it was a lot of shit like that.
Yeah.
And eventually I got fired from that job because the head property manager, and this is true, I called her pill-popping drunk. But they turned the other cheek, and they only fired this woman.
That's insane.
And it was all women, mind you.
What the hell?
It's so fucked up. But yeah, so that was all happening in the background while I was also banging this escort, which I never paid her, by the way. I never paid her. Not that it would make me... I just wanted to put that out there. We never use condoms either.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It was such a fucked up period of my life.
Yeah.
I didn't get any STDs from her. But have I had STDs in the past? Yes. I've had chlamydia once.
Awesome.
But yeah.
So then you decided the real problem was your mom.
Well, the real problem was me.
Okay.
But
that's
yes,
good accountability.
It was because of my mom. Yes, like it was because of my reaction to my mom.
Okay.
And she was a cancer in my life, and I had to cut her out.
Okay. I mean, so that's interesting because, like, I find it like as someone who's also in a form of recovery, like, it's interesting. There are people that I realize like I have to just no longer talk to.
Yeah.
But then there are people like that there's like I have to work really hard to repair or change my relationship with, and it's hard to kind of know which one is which. And I would imagine something like with a mom, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's interesting your counselor was like, no, this one has to be no.
Instantly, yeah, because I just explained what I thought, was no, never mind, just telling him my story and explaining my mom. It triggered my sister, my oldest sister cutting my mom out and completely.
Oh, wow.
My middle sister, the sister that's my age, my middle sister, she had already stopped fucking with her years prior.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then her and my dad were on the skids, and they eventually split up.
They did?
So yes, but it was good. It was like a good thing. So it like me going into recovery and basically going off the deep end and seeing how deep the rabbit hole goes for myself.
Yeah.
Triggered all of this shit happening in my family that was painful at the time, but it was better long term.
Okay, yeah.
Because everything's great with us now. Like, I get along with everybody.
Okay, except for your mom.
Except for my mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's... And, you know, I think it's interesting because from our societal bullshit, you know, we always talk about women with daddy issues, and that's a thing. I 100% have mommy issues. Like, I know that I am difficult as a man to be in a relationship with because I'm like because I was so used to someone controlling me that I had an automatic defense and distrust of, hey, can you come over at this time?
That's
Where,
tough, man.
Where I was just like, you know what? No. And fuck you for asking me.
How dare you?
And I could still be a little bit that way. But I also feel like that's just my own bullshit, you know? Where I'm like, I don't want to be bothered. I can't be bothered. I'm really important. I'm pursuing all of these things in my life.
I'm the optimist, damn it.
Yeah. And like, I can be very egotistical. I wouldn't say I'm narcissistic, but I'm definitely egotistical at times.
Well, yeah, I think all people struggle with pride.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm very prideful.
So where it's like, yeah, we can all be assholes.
Yeah.
That's something that, it's funny. Yeah, the narcissist thing, I mean, that is one of those words that like drives me crazy because
It's overused now.
yeah, every one of my girlfriends that's like, my ex
I'm dating
is
a narcissist.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think you just mean he's a dick.
Yeah.
And like, being prideful is the human condition. That's going to be something that we all struggle with.
Yeah.
Being a narcissist is an actual like,
Clinical assessment.
Yes.
Totally.
So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, for your mother to actually be, I mean, that's hard. That's really hard. I'm glad that you guys are in a chill place now.
Yeah, I mean, with the rest of my family, yes, but I will never talk to my mom again. Like, I just...
Well, never say never. I mean, who knows? Maybe she'll change.
She won't.
Not that you need to change anything or one or two, but like...
even if she does change, you know what? Like, I'm very happy if that's what she's able to do. But she had her chance in the shit that I got put through and that the rest of my family got put through. I have forgiveness for that, but it's like, we're done.
All right.
You had your chance, and you betrayed everybody's trust and abused them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of your own bullshit. And my mom had a very hard life.
Yeah.
Very difficult. Like, the kind of life you wouldn't wish on anybody.
Oof. That's sad.
So
it makes sense, but you're also like, I don't have to subject myself to it.
Well, she's just never going to get help because she refuses to go to therapy and refuses to get medicated. And there were times that she did have a therapist when I was growing up at one point, but the therapist honestly should have her fucking license revoked because
Some are awful.
She was just like, your family's the problem. It's not you. So she would, I remember, and I had a therapist growing up. We went to my own therapy session, and there was like this note on the wall that the headline was "Nothing breeds a lack of respect like a lack of respect." And my mom like hit me on the shoulder and was like, "Go read that."
Oh no.
So I started reading it out loud, and it was basically saying that if a child is disrespecting the parent, it's because the parent disrespected the child. So I got through 3 sentences. She's like, shut up, stop reading. Stop reading.
Oh my God.
And that was the person who was responsible for taking care of me. It's like me and my oldest sister, we got left alone a lot when we were kids.
Yeah.
Because my mom was just out doing God knows what. I suspect there was some hard drug use. She pretends to be naive about my biological father because basically what happened with my biological father, like I said, he was a cop. He had done a drug bust for cocaine.
Okay.
And he like pulled over these 2 guys and took the cocaine and let them go and never reported it and kept it and started selling.
No.
Yeah. And he was just smoking crack and he was a loser. He had a hard childhood too.
Man.
But yeah, so I come from like look probably very put together on the surface, clean cut,
Yeah,
well spoken. But because of that though, I felt like I was so ashamed versus the way that I felt in my spirit and the way that I present versus what was going on inside of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Totally.
So it was very hard and very hectic. And I mean, to go even deeper on it, I realized that a lot of my personality was formed by my mom in the way that the only way I would really get praise or for her to respect me was to become like these toxic men that she had chosen in the past.
Yeah.
Where I was very misogynistic, you know, like, and
Yes.
that was the biggest thing. And like, I have flare-ups at times, I will admit, but I've really worked on it now. And I had to, like, because there was no way.
Like, what in particular would be like currency that your mom would? Is it like yelling? Is it hitting? Is it just being like that?
Never
like,
anything like I would never hit or anything
Yeah.
like that. That I feel like this is the other thing. I feel like as a man, you either have it in you to ball up your fists and hit a woman, or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not have that in me. Mm-hmm. It was really just I could get my mom by the time I was like 15, 16. She would be in on me, attacking me, just fucking saying horrible things to me. Within 30 seconds, I could have her in a ball on the floor crying, like rocking back and forth.
Damn.
So I became very good at verbally eviscerating people.
Okay.
And that was something, you know, that I definitely carried into my adult life. I was always a hammer looking for a nail. And again, I can still be like that sometimes, but I've honed that a little bit. Something like that is a weapon, and weapons should only be used in self-defense. You shouldn't show them off. You shouldn't pull out your gun when you're in the middle of a gas station and say, check this out.
Yeah. Don't be a bully.
Yeah. And I was definitely a bully, and I, again, still can be to a certain degree. But now as an adult, I realize what the difference is.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, yeah, when you're a kid and you feel like you're doing something out of survival.
That's what it was. I was always in survival mode. And I'm not now.
Yeah.
I can be triggered and head back into that. And I think like emotionally intimate relationships can definitely do that to me sometimes.
Yeah.
We've completely deconstructed why I'm still a bachelor.
I mean, this is good. Yeah, I think like relationships bring out the best and worst in us. And like
It's a mirror.
it really is. And like it's interesting because when people will ask about, you know, like what happened with my first marriage, like we really were an amazing couple, and then we really were a terrible couple. And it's like, it's just, relationships can bring out the best and the worst, you know? And like, I didn't know how shitty of a person I could be. And now I do know, and I have to be accountable to that for the rest of my life. And like, it's just, I mean, it's interesting going into like knowing I'm going to be getting married again and knowing how many different, I was really naive, I guess. I mean, obviously I was naive. I was 23 when I first got married.
That's so young.
So young.
That's the age I was when I moved to Nashville.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was so young. And I mean, he was the same age. We met in college. But like, I really didn't think I was that bad of a person, you know?
Did you feel that way deep down, though?
I felt lots of shame and guilt, always. Like, I was always someone that, like, would have my mom, like, when my mom would try to put all four of us to bed, I would be like, Mom, please, okay, can you tell me, do you promise, like, I'm a good girl? Do you you know, like, I was that kid who always had, like, shame and guilt.
Needed reassurance.
But, and I had, like, some serious guilt about some high school moves I did. But I didn't realize how bad I could be until things got bad. Like, probably I was about 35. And then anger and sadness like really took over. And it was like a combination of my ex and I, we couldn't have kids, so we kept having miscarriages.
That's really tough.
And like, at the first time I was like, I'm so peaceful and happy about it and blah, blah, blah. And then I started getting like,
It started eating at you.
after the third one,
Which is understandable. That's fucking traumatic to go through.
I was just like so fucking pissed. And then I was trying to find someone to be mad at. I was so angry with both of my parents. I was so angry with one of my sisters, actually both my sisters. It was like, whose fault is it that I'm so unhappy? And then I started getting angry at my husband. Like, I was just so unhappy, and I was so resentful, and I didn't realize that resentment for me is poison. And
Oh, yeah.
like, I did not know that. So then,
And it's addicting, too.
oh my God. Okay, so that's when my life turned, was when it was like, I was so resentful at God for like, why can, some like drug dealer on the street gets knocked up and has a baby? I can't have a baby,
Yeah.
I was so resentful that like my sister had stuff that I didn't have. I was so resentful that my parents didn't tell me I was like successful enough or whatever it was that I was mad at. And then what started as just what I thought was just, like Midwestern drinking became so much more than that. And then I did things that I never ever thought. Like when you're saying like you dated an escort, and I'm like, I get it, man. Like,
Yeah.
there are those sentences where you're like, I roller skated through Denver downtown with just a bra and a blonde wig on. And I don't know if I can go back to Denver. Like,
Yeah.
it was.
You were wearing a wig. It's okay.
I know. I was like, guys, I'm being modest. Yeah, no one could tell who I was. It was a cosplay wig. It was like so weird, dude.
Yeah.
Dark times.
Were you just super drunk or
I was like high on Adderall and drunk.
Adderall will do it to you?
I mean, what the fuck, man?
Well, I told a story recently about how I had a little. I've never really been a substances person, but I had a little stint with Adderall.
Ugh, it's the worst. Like, so I was, I always took it as prescribed, but I was prescribed truckloads. And spoiler, doctors are not,
They don't give a fuck. They're
No!
in the business of making money.
Yes. And so, like, I was a drug addict. Like, I didn't realize it, but I was basically doing meth 24 hours a day. And then.
And it's great.
I mean, I was productive as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I was getting a lot done. I would just do, like, these insane things. I was starting clubs that I'd forget about. So, like, people would stop me in the street, and they were like, when's the next meeting of the Inga Club? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Who are you? Like, I
Yeah.
was just starting all kinds of. I joined like different writers leagues and painting classes. I mean, when I was saying like I've had so many careers, I've had so many careers, it's shameful. I did a tap dancing stint for a while. Like, I've done so many things. The roller skating thing happened when I was, like, really into doing roller derby. But, like, I wasn't able to keep any weight on because of it doing so much Adderall.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it was legitimately dangerous for me to be doing it. And
Yeah.
I remember I, like, stopped at a bar before the tryouts, and I got drunk first. So I'm drunk, trying out for roller derby with these women who are enormous. Like, it's incredible that I'm like still walking.
Alive.
Yeah. Like, it was not great. Oh, also, at that point, I was doing pitch decks for DC Comics.
Oh, damn. Hell yeah. That's cool.
And so what I would do is I was like, okay, you know what? I think we can come up with cooler ways for like the villains' masks to be done. So I started researching Burning Man a lot. This is back in like 2015. And I would then do I thought like basically the villains' masks shouldn't be a separate piece. It should be something like that's part of their skin or whatever.
Interesting.
Like where it's sort of makeup, sort of paint, whatever. So I started just practicing on myself. And then I would just walk around for the next couple of days with it on my face.
And you're still married?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
And so my husband at the time, he traveled a lot for work. And at one point, we were FaceTiming, and I was like, I'm just so bored. I like need to go out. I think I'm gonna go to a bar. And like before I could even finish, she was like, "No one will serve you. You look like you just escaped from a mental hospital. Like you look like an insane person." And I was like, "No, I look cool. You don't like it? You don't think it looks cool?" And he obviously was like, "My wife is unhinged."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was dark. When you said that you told your boss that she was a pill popper,
Yeah. Pill popping drunk, technically.
Oh, yeah, pill popping drunk. I once told a guy who's now in the Supreme Court of the United States, I called him a dildo, just because we were at a barbecue and I didn't like his vibe, where it was like, good. I don't know if that was the best thing I could have done. Like, I was constantly just saying stuff like inappropriate.
Yeah.
I had said something. Oh, I'm like pausing because I'm like, how much should I say on the air? But yeah,
I can cut it out if you.
like I definitely said some really embarrassing things to the Chief Justice.
Yeah.
Where I asked him, I was like, why? I tried to get him to say what he would do if he broke the law, and like he wouldn't go along with the story.
Yeah. He
And
wasn't down for the bit.
not at all. And I was like, you're the fucking worst.
Yeah.
And, like I ruined the dinner. Like it was like really, it was dark, man. Yeah, but so anyway, so then finally, I mean, I was so good at blaming everybody. I was so mad at everyone. And then
Mad at the world.
so mad. And none of this was my fault. None of it's my fault, of course. Like, this is like sad things happened to me, or this person didn't give me a fair shot, or whatever. And then it wasn't until really actually, like, I tried to get sober a couple times, but didn't really believe I had a problem. And then it wasn't until I moved here, actually, and I was drunk in a bar in 12 South, which is like college area.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I was sitting
A lot of Belmont kids.
Yes. So I'm sitting in a bar, and I'm 42 years old. And so I'm sitting in a bar next to like some mid-20s kid, and he's wasted. And we're like closing down the bar on a Wednesday, something shameful, right? And he turns to me and he was like, "You have really pretty blonde hair." I don't have blonde hair. I have gray hair.
Yeah.
And something about that situation, I don't know why that was my rock bottom. I had way worse actual rock bottoms, but that was the moment where I was like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
And I remembered this thing.
And it's the next day.
Yeah.
Of having to piece it back together in your mind in what you did, what you said, how you behaved.
Yes. And there was something, I remembered this thing this guy told me years before where he was like, if you're a cucumber and you become a pickle, you can't go back to being a cucumber. And when the kid said he liked my blonde hair, I was like, fuck, I'm a pickle. Whereas like, I can't go out like normal people.
Yeah.
And so that was what kind of switched for me. And then ever since then, like a lot of other stuff in my life started working out. And I realized like, oh, I was a dick to so many people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been a long journey. Nashville's been really good to me. And like, that's when I started doing landline, which is fun because it's like I can just talk to people. And a lot of people have, I don't know, it's been a weird time for our world and like life right now, like post-pandemic. I think a lot of people are going through shit. So they want to call in and talk about it.
I feel like we've never really recovered from COVID. It was like the same way that my childhood was just kind of breezed past by my mom. I feel like as a collective, as a country, that's what we did with COVID.
Yeah, because of course we're like, okay, let's pretend that didn't happen because that sucked.
Yeah.
But like it was, I mean, jarring as hell, and everyone basically isolated, and now we're sort of trying to figure out how to be a community again, but like we
It's
weren't great
deeply
at it before.
fractured, yeah.
Yes. So that's like what, honestly, that's why I wanted to do Landline, because I wanted it to be like Wayne's World meets like Mr. Rogers for adults. And it'd basically be like, okay, what if we could do a neighborhood vibe now, but we don't really have neighborhoods the way we did, at least like when I was a kid.
I don't know any of my neighbors.
Right? Like nobody does. So like, okay, I don't want you to just post comments. I don't want to just, we have so many mic drop situations. Instead, call. Like, let's have it doesn't have to be a long conversation, but just something so that we're connecting somehow as human beings.
Yeah.
So that it feels a little bit more like we're not all living on our own desert island.
Yeah. Well, Inga, I feel like that's a perfect place to end it. Where can people find you at?
So you can go to thelandlineshow.com.
Okay. And find you on TV as well. Like,
Oh,
do you know,
yes. So I'm going to be on public access.
what slot do you have?
I don't know. They haven't given me one yet.
Okay. So follow, like, subscribe,
Yes.
Inga, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh, and you can call into my show, 615-212-5437. Call, leave a message anytime. We play it on the air.
Keep on dreaming. See you next week.